actually held in March. Right? So it was based on speaker availability, and we heard that Ed was coming here, and it was a temptation to ask him. I'm really thankful that Ed was being able to accommodate and do this for us. So HackFormers, I see many new faces. So quickly to set the stage, and I'll get out of the way so Ed can do his talk. HackFormers, who we are and what we do. Who we are is we are a Christian organization that is involved in security activities, not the other way around. It's not we're a security organization involved in Christian activities. And I say that because our mission is very clear. It's actually threefold, but with one main purpose, and that is to teach security, teach Christ, and teach security in Christ. My name is Mano Paul. A couple of years ago, 2012, you actually see a few of them like Ryan Engel, Austin Holt, and Wicked over here, but a few of us met at a garden. It was not the Garden of Eden, it was the Olive Garden. And we talked, and we talked about just being a witness in the community. And that's how HackFormers kind of came about. So hackers who are transformers for Christ, and that's the way the name came about. Recently we've added Larry and Myron to the leadership team as well, so thank you guys for joining. And and then David and others have been extremely supportive of the organization. Sarah, I see some speakers over here from the past. Actually Phil was there in the first meeting too. He actually looks about the same as he was 4 years ago. There's something that I need to talk to him about. Right. So anyway, thank you so much for coming. That's what we are, who we are, what we do. We meet monthly. We meet actually at the Microsoft office. It's the second floor in the Microsoft office on Stone Hollow. Is that right? Stone Hollow, right? Right.
By Breaker.
Sorry?
By Breaker.
By Breaker, right. And so that's on the first Friday of every month from about 11:30 to 1 is when we meet. So if you like this, come by, join us over there. You get free pizzas and free Bibles as well. So I actually have to my Bibles. I put them on the back. If anybody wants one, you can take one. With that said, over to Ed. Thank you so much for being here and helping us out and being helping the speaker. Ed Skoudis.
Thank you. It is great to see you guys here. I think some of you were in the presentation I did earlier today, but some of you were not. I really want to start out by saying this is not in any way a continuation of the presentation this morning. This is totally different. The first 3/4 of this presentation are just kind of like different ways to look at the information security community and business, how it's evolving, and also some career tips. I actually, I've been working on this presentation for a few weeks now, and it's really from the heart. I mean, I thought a lot about this. I've run through the presentation with a lot of different people. There's some weird stuff in the show. I should tell you that. But I will point out some of the weird stuff. I did run it by my wife, and she said, well, okay. Ran it by some other folks in the office. The first 3/4 of it, so I've got a guy who is assigned to me. He's part of the Training with Industry program associated with the United States Army. And I said, hey, I'm working on this presentation. I showed him the first 3/4 of it. Essentially what they do is they send a soldier to work with industry for a year. And the idea is it's knowledge transfer, so you can bring back skills and ideas back to the Army. I showed him the first 3/4 of this, and so he didn't see the very end. But I showed him the first 3/4. He's like, wow, I've never seen a presentation like that. That's different and interesting to give at information security talk. It's kind of cool. So that kind of heartened me, because I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. But let's see what happens. All right? So, InfoSec Rockstars, Stunt hacking atmosphere. First, I should start out by saying I'm just a little hacker. That's all I ever wanted to be. I do not consider myself an InfoSec Rockstar. No. I have friends who I consider an InfoSec Rockstar. I do. My goal here has always been to do interesting work with friends that I love, hoping to have some sort of impact, and making a living. Right? I got to feed my family. I got to feed my team. And above all, I really would like to help people in their careers, help people in their skills, help them to fight the good fight in securing their infrastructure. I don't need to be a rock star to do that, and I am not a rock star. But I do have several rock stars among my friends. In fact, Austin, Texas is a particularly rich area in InfoSec Rockstars. I am not going to name names of any of these rock stars, with one exception. There's one guy, about halfway through the presentation, I'm going to name his name. I called him yesterday saying, hey, I want to name your name in the middle of this talk about InfoSec Rockstars. Are you okay with that? He's like, well, tell me a little more context. Anyway, so he was good with that. But when I say other names, I'm going to say other concepts and things. You're going to think of certain InfoSec Rockstars, and you know who I'm talking about. But I don't want to embarrass them by saying their names. Many so-called InfoSec Rockstars kind of bristle at that title, InfoSec Rockstar. I'm not that, right? But some of them embrace it. There are some out there, it's like, dude, you're a rock star. And no response, yeah, you know? All right, so what do you do with that? I mean, really, what does that mean? So for those of you that weren't here at the thing this morning, I'll just introduce myself briefly. I'm Ed Skoudis. I'm an instructor with the Sands Institute. I've been doing InfoSec for a long time. And I've seen a lot of trends in that long time. My first InfoSec job was back in 1996. And in 20, exactly, a long time. And in 20 years, I've seen a lot of evolution of the information security community. And this is some observations about that community and how to engage it effectively. All right, so that's what this is about. In fact, you know, I often think of myself, people say, I'm InfoSec Heisenberg. They'll see me wearing this hat. And if you know Jason Blanchard, he's here at the event. He's like InfoSec Jesse Pinkerton, right? So, I mean, you've seen Breaking Bad. Yeah. I watched the first season and a half of it. And after season and a half, it's brilliantly shot. It's beautifully acted. The writing is amazing, and it's so depressing. After a season and a half, like, I can't finish this. I just couldn't do it. But I tell you this, little old ladies at my church. I'm walking out of church on Sunday morning. These little old ladies, they're 70, 80 years old. They come up to me, you know, you look just like Heisenberg. That's what they say to me. I'm like, have you watched it? Oh yeah, we watched the whole series. It wasn't with 70 or 80-year-old ladies. All right, anyway, I consider myself not InfoSec Heisenberg. Come on. I almost think of myself as InfoSec Forrest Gump. You've seen, right, Forrest Gump. He happens to be the simple man who finds himself in the midst of amazing circumstances and amazing people. And I've been incredibly blessed to have been there, not through my own volition. I just happen to be there. I'm Forrest Gump, looking around. It's like, look at these amazing people doing these amazing things. That's kind of me. The last 20 years, I've been blessed to be InfoSec Forrest Gump. All right, cool. So, what's the first time I ever saw an InfoSec Rockstar? It was 2000 or 2001. I wasn't able to get exactly the right year. It was 2000, 2001 at DEF CON. How many people here have been to DEF CON? All right. There was a presentation. Maybe some people here were at this talk. It was Rainforest Puppy's talk. If you were there, you will remember it. Let me describe it to you. Rainforest Puppy. Who here remembers Rainforest Puppy? Good. That's good. He released this, Whisker, which was a wonderful tool for scanning websites and finding vulnerabilities. He then took the whole thing and packaged it into a library, which became a framework that other people could build on top of. So he did this back in 2000, 2001. Now we consider this commonplace, right? Metasploit and Nmap and all these other tools, Scapy, are frameworks on which you can build other things. Whisker was one of the first ones in this space. He expanded that IIS Unicode vulnerability. Do you remember that? Command injection just via the URL by injecting in a certain slash. He also published, right around that time, RF Policy, the Rainforest Puppy's policy. It was a disclosure policy. Very early on in the industry, Rainforest Puppy says, if you're a security researcher and you find a flaw, here's a way that you can, in a fair and noble fashion, interact with the vendor. So the vendor knows what to expect, you know what to expect, put a time frame on it. This was cutting edge stuff 15 years ago, right? So Rainforest Puppy, after releasing all that stuff, is at DEF CON ready to give the talk, and I'm telling you, the man approaches the stage in a gold sequin. All right, I can only find a silver one online. Anyway, he had a gold sequin shirt. It was sleeveless. On each arm, he had a beautiful young lady, so two beautiful young ladies escorted him up on the stage. There he goes, Rainforest Puppy. He got up and he delivered an amazing talk. It was fascinating. It was inspiring. And I thought to myself, sitting there in the audience, this dude is a rock star. There's no other way to describe him. He is just a rock star. That was my first experience with what I would call an InfoSec Rockstar. All right, well, that's an interesting trip down memory lane. But what is an InfoSec Rockstar? I'm going to start out with a definition that I did not create. It was created by Ted Demopoulos. Ted is a SANS instructor, and he has a website called, of all things, InfoSecRockstar.com. So he's been trying to observe this phenomenon, to document it, and to talk to people about rockstarness in the InfoSec space and to how to kind of manage their careers and stuff. So I don't want you to think that I thought of this InfoSec Rockstar idea. No, not at all. I mean, it was really classified by Ted DeMottles. Here's his definition, which I don't entirely agree with. I'll build on this definition a little bit later. Positives of being an InfoSec Rockstar. You're extremely good at what you do. Yeah, I'll agree with that. That's good. You're widely known. You have certain celebrity status too. Yeah, I agree with that. You're respected. Maybe, right? Yeah, so, sure. You're rich. No. I know InfoSec Rockstars, and they're not rich at all. So I don't, now, if you are rich, hey, so much better, right? There's nothing wrong with that by itself. And you're an artist. I actually like that. There's a certain art to information security and to wearing the mantle of widely known celebrity status within that. So I like that artist part. And then he has, and this is his own characterization, he's got not necessarily all good. And he says, perhaps controversial. You know, if you're controversial for the right reasons, that's not so bad. Actually, in fact, that can be good. So I don't even know if I like the idea, you're controversial, but that actually might be a good thing. Egotistical. This is an interesting one. I will tell you, egotistical, first of all, it sounds bad, right? It just sounds bad. But certain people in this space, InfoSec Rockstars, can use their ego as a tool to achieve certain goals. So I think I might agree with him here that it's not necessarily all good, the ego piece of this. And I've got some slides coming up later about ego and managing ego and humility and all that kind of stuff. Eccentric. Oh, dude, yes. These are eccentric people. They're different. They're not like you or like me, right? And then he gets to this last one. Sex, drugs, coffee, alcohol. There's a lot of that, right? I remember it was at DEF CON about 3 years ago. They had, there's DEF CON parties, right? And there's a lot of drinking, it's a little wild. There was a party at DEF CON 3 years ago where it was a dry party. You could go in there and there was no alcohol. I thought, this is pretty cool, right? It was hip. Maybe there were a few people running around there, but it was not very widely popular. I was there for 10 or 15 minutes myself. But yeah, this is an issue. This is a problem, and it does impact not all InfoSec Rockstars, but some significantly. Sometimes you see at DEF CON people who are very clearly InfoSec Rockstars, the InfoSec Rockstariest of InfoSec Rockstars, and you see them staggering around, and it breaks my heart to say. I'm not going to name names, but maybe you've seen this. Some of the greatest in our industry staggering around, running into walls and stuff like that. It's like, dude, there's good and there's some not so good. All right, oh, anyway, look at these pictures. Oh my gosh. Eddie Van Halen looks like Eddie Van Halen, right? These are the high school pictures. Marilyn Manson, he looks like a person there. That's different, right? Steven Tyler, look at that dude. He looks like the Joker. He still does, doesn't he? Yeah. Gene Simmons. Gene Simmons, by the way, among rock stars, one of the finest businessmen you'll find this side of the Rolling Stones, right? Because Rolling Stones, you got Mick Jagger, he's a great businessman too. Interesting, these guys. Look at Metallica, right? Nice. All right, so what is the reaction that we see to these InfoSec Rockstar folks? I do see this. Look, I go to these conferences, I see this sort of this adoration. Oh my gosh, this person's so special, almost as though like some sort of, holy relic or something. Oh my goodness, I won't name the names, but wow. And I took these pictures, look at these pictures. The thing that interests me is the time differential here, but the expression on the face. This young lady on the top, I love Ringo, that's 1964, the Beatles invaded. And if you look at the shape of her eyes and the turn of her mouth, and then you look at the bottom one, this is much more recent. Does anybody know what concert this is from? JB. Exactly, JB. You can see it written on the woman's cheek, written on her cheek. That would be Justin Bieber, for those of you who don't know. The only difference between these two is not the emotion at all. The only difference is the iPhones and Android devices, right? But it's the same thing, celebrity worship. Another really big thing about the InfoSec Rockstar space. I'll be standing there like next to the InfoSec Rockstar and I see people come up and talk to the InfoSec Rockstar. And there's this need for some people to share their life story with the Rockstar. Oh, because they think they know the Rockstar because they see them present, they see them do this, they see them do that. And because the Rockstar is such a good buddy with them, they feel that they need to reciprocate for 10 minutes, or 15 minutes, or 20 minutes. Tell their life story to the InfoSec Rockstar. And of course, since the InfoSec Rockstar is there, you might as well get some free career advice and some consulting. What could go wrong? In fact, I've heard this referred to as the vortex of free consulting. All right, truth be told, I coined the term vortex of free consulting. But I have many of my friends that use the term. It's like, hey, we need to go get some food, at a big conference. We can walk that way. Oh, if we walk that way, it's the vortex of free consulting. Well, let's walk this way, right? It just happens, yeah. There's also a certain awkwardness, right, associated with the celebrity worship. I usually am personally kind of immune to this, right? I see InfoSec Rockstars, it's like, dude, it's all good, right? So I haven't had this issue with dealing with InfoSec Rockstars, and usually, occasionally I'll meet another, star in TV or whatever, movies, and I'm kind of cool with that. But one time, at DEF CON, Adam Savage came to speak, the guy from the Mythbusters. No, seriously, and I was like, Adam Savage, I'm gonna get to meet him. I was behind stage, because I was in the speaker room, and he was in the speaker room, and, we were all going up to get his autograph, and I never had this happen to me before. I was speechless. It was Adam Savage. Oh my, what? And my friends reacted saying, we never thought we would see Ed speechless. Ed was starstruck. I was. Because, Adam Savage is my best friend. He's on Mythbusters, and I watch Mythbusters, and I wanted to tell him my whole life story. But I was speechless. Maybe it was a good thing. But really, some of my friends came up to me and said, Ed, we never thought you would ever react that way to anybody. And we saw it, and it was weird. Yeah, I felt bad. His shyness, he's kind of like, this is Mythbusters. It's not Jamie, but wow. And then there's also disgust. Maybe you've seen this. Maybe you felt this. It's like, oh, look at this Rockstar. Who does he think he is? Right? Oh, right? This guy's not so hot. Really? Look at him. He's got quite an attitude, doesn't he? He's not really that technical, is he? So there's different ranges of response to these InfoSec Rockstars. All right, now here's the deal. They're controversial, and some people try to dismiss them, some people try to make fun of them, some people try to push them away. But throughout my career, I've actually kind of thought, hey, this is cool. This is a reasonable phenomenon. InfoSec Rockstars got it rock. Some are kind of aloof. You walk up to them and it's super friendly. Some of them are actually quite shy. There's like a public persona, right? And then when you get to them by themselves, they're just, they're kind of shy and even a little awkward. It's weird. It's like a switch flips when they get up in front of people. Some are incredibly approachable and friendly. You walk up to said InfoSec Rockstar. I wish I could name names. I'm not going to, but there are some. They're just wonderful people. They're lovable. You walk up to them and they're so approachable. And the thing of it is, Adam Savage, very approachable, right? I went up to him. He's really nice, and I'm just like. But some of them, frankly, are very prickly and difficult to deal with. They are. And they don't hide it, and they don't care. They just are what they are. Most of these folks in this InfoSec Rockstar phenomenon are really quite complex individuals. And they are individuals. So you can't paint with too broad a brush here. They're all very different. But there's a couple characteristics they have in common. One is a passion for InfoSec. The true rockstars really do care about InfoSec and hacking stuff, or stopping hacking stuff, defense, offense, whatever it has to be. And to be a rockstar, they have to have a public persona. That's kind of, the nature of the whole thing. So those two things are really quite important. The rest, the variables, are all over the place. Then we have this phenomenon known as stunt hacking. Have you heard the term, the phrase stunt hacking? I believe it was originally coined by Dave Eitel. I am pretty certain he's the one that really made it popular. Somebody else may have originally coined the term, but it was Eitel's writings about this that made it more mainstream. Some people have called it media whoring. You hear that a lot. And a gentleman named Val Smith, he's an old friend of mine, really amazing guy. Val Smith wrote up an article last year, I put the URL up here for you, about how he defines the process of stunt hacking. Stunt hacking is typically done by InfoSec Rockstars. So here's how he describes the process. And he talks about how this is bad and this is a problem. So here's the process. Step one, buy some computer-esque thing from eBay or some other source. So you get the thing, maybe it's IoT, Internet of Things. So you buy this thing. You analyze this device maybe it's an ATM, maybe it's a car, maybe it's light bulbs, whatever it is. You analyze this thing assuming physical access to it. You develop a tool to hack it, or maybe there's another tool that you adapt to be able to hack said device. You hack said device to make it do something that the public will consider unusual or unexpected from the device, and therefore you've hacked the device now. You issue a hyping press release to talk about how you could do this to devices around the world and cause mayhem and destruction. And then you start presenting your research at security conference after security conference after security conference. That's what you do. And you know, there's a lot of truth to this. That's one of the reasons I did the talk that I did this morning in the way that I did the talk this morning. You see, what Val Smith says here, the problems with this is first, the research is often FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and the circumstances under which it was analyzed are not real world. It's not a real world deployment. How many people saw my talk this morning? Did you guys all see? Okay, most of you saw. I wanted to do a real world deployment of this thing, and I wanted to use the stuff. I didn't want to just say, I'm going to take a light bulb and hack the crap out of this light bulb. Because then Val Smith's going to say, dude, you're a stunt hacker. No, I want to deploy the light bulbs and run my life on this terribly insecure stuff and people set my house on fire. But it's not stunt hacking, right? So Val Smith's concerns, research is FUD, it's not real world. Second, any actual valuable technical research. He admits that technical research comes out of this, but any of that technical research is obscured by the hype. So that people will hear the story without digging into the research itself. They start making up stories in their own brain that go beyond what the research actually supports. These are his concerns with stunt hacking. The focus is on the spectacular for stunt hacking, right? Jackpotting ATMs, hacking planes. Remember the unpleasantness last year with the hacking of a plane? I don't want to name names. I'm not naming names. All right, but you can. All right, or hacking trains. There was an interesting presentation last year on hacking trains. Or hacking automobiles. You don't have to name names. All right, it's stunt hacking. So, he's concerned about the FUD and the loss of the research. I actually don't share that. I mean, I respect Val Smith. He's a great guy. But I don't worry so much about the credibility of the InfoSec community when it comes to stunt hacking. He does. Again, I respect the fact that he does. But I think, hey, if the public is thinking about security, even in imprecise terms, they can hack your car, they can hack this. Maybe, in my mind, that might help them to choose better passwords for things, or make them more wary of things when, frankly, they should be wary about some things. So I actually welcome stunt hacking. Stunt hackers got hacked. I think it's great. Anytime the public's thinking about InfoSec, even in imprecise terms, because they can't understand what we really do, I'm actually kind of good with that. I celebrate the InfoSec Rockstar. I celebrate stunt hacking. This is cool. This is fun. This is the golden age. I mean, this is the golden age of hacking this kind of stuff. Let's embrace it. Yeah. All right, so let's discuss the caring and feeding of InfoSec Rockstars. They move among you. They're here at this conference. You know they are. So how can you care and feed them? Realize that most InfoSec Rockstars don't think of themselves as InfoSec Rockstars. They just don't. I will occasionally tell them that they're InfoSec Rockstars. Most of the time they're like, no, you're mistaken, I'm not. But there are those that are like, you know it. Okay. How do you deal with this? My advice to you is, how do you deal with InfoSec Rockstars? You realize that they're people, and deal with them with kindness, grace, and dignity. And, foundationally, the Rockstar is seeking approval at some level. Give it to them. Dude, that was fantastic. What you just demonstrated was really amazing. Thank you for that. That's actually cool. Now, are you feeding their ego? Yes. What if they're already a jerk? Yes, that happens. I was at the RSA conference. Oh, was it a month ago? The time all blends in. So a month ago, I was at the RSA conference, and I love to go. How many of you have been at RSA conference? I love to go to the introductory thing at the RSA conference. They usually have some musical performance. This year they had, what's the name of the band? Oh, it's an a cappella band, starts with a P. Pentatonics, that's it. I want to say Pentatonics. But Pentatonics, and they did their thing. They had, years ago, they had Pat Benatar perform up in front. They had Sugar Hill Gang. They had all these. I like to go. I like to be there for it. Anyway, so I'm there for the start of the RSA conference, and I'm sitting, you know, in this one particular area, and there's people sitting next to me. I mean, just a sea of people. I don't know who these people are who are next to me, but I'm watching, and then a certain InfoSec Rockstar, after the musical performance and everything else, is up on stage, and the guy sitting next to me said, "He's a real," I'll paraphrase, jerk. And the guy next to him said, "Yep, he is." They kind of know, right? I mean, so, if these guys are going to be jerks and such, it kind of gets around, right? But realize the Rockstar, even if he's a jerk, or she's a jerk, they're seeking approval at some level, and I don't think there's anything wrong with doing so. Especially, you gotta be, from the heart, you gotta be open and honest. Say, hey, your work is actually quite interesting. I really like this aspect of it. This was interesting, this made me think, this moved me. That's actually kind of cool. But what if they are a real jerk? This is one of the ones I asked my wife about. Is it okay if I put a picture of Pat Benatar giving a finger? And she's like, all right, it makes your point. Okay, so what happens if said InfoSec Rockstar, you say, hey, that was really cool work, and he's mean to you, or she's, putting you off? Shrug it off. Again, with grace, with dignity. Happens to me too. I'll go up to somebody, that was supposed to be a presentation. I remember, saw this guy give an incredible presentation. I went up to him afterwards and told him that he did a great job, and it was so good, and I learned so much from it. And he told me to, I can't think of a polite way to say it. Jump in a lake, thank you, sir. Yes. And it's like, okay, that's fine, whatever. There's little value in you getting angry. You're getting angry is going to do nothing. You're not going to change the Rockstar status. Lashing out, even publicizing. You go to Twitter, really? You want to get into a Twitter match with one of the, no, there's no value in that, really. Unless maybe it's so egregious. Maybe they cut you down so bad, or maybe there's some sort of, racial, sexual, something like that. My advice to you is talk to Rockstar. Dude, really unnecessary. Right, rather than just going out in public and slinging it out. They will get a reputation. Don't forget, when I was sitting there at that RSA audience, and this guy who I knew was a big jerk, and the guy next to me said he's a big jerk. I'm thinking to myself, I know he's right, yeah, because he knows this guy. Right? Alright, next. On the topic of jealousy, there's two particular slides in this that I really hope you zoom in on, and two particular bullets on those two particular slides. This is one of them on the topic of jealousy, and the other one is on the topic of humility. The other one's coming up. I've heard some people, I mentioned this at the start of this, look down at InfoSec Rockstars, saying that they try to tear it down. They'll say, it's overhyped, really overhyped, media whore, lame, jerk, or the most significant indictment you could have in our industry, especially at a technical event. It's not really that technical. I put up here, I tried to find the geekiest picture of the monkeys I could, and I think I succeeded, right? The monkeys were widely derided in the same way. You know the origin story of the monkeys, right? The idea was the Beatles were selling like hotcakes. I mean, really, really good. So some producers said, we need to make another Beatles that look kind of like the original Beatles, but even cuter. Their music is even friendlier. Don't let them write music. We will write the music for them, and they will perform it. And they were widely derided as overhyped media whores, lame, not really that musical. This was actually wrong. Later in their career, the monkeys started actually recording some work and doing their own stuff and writing it, and they were really good. I mean, it's pretty nifty. And in fact, you find this with a lot of InfoSec Rockstars. A lot of them do have a pretty significant technical core that is impressive. Yes, some of the stuff is overhyped. I readily admit that. But even when it's overhyped, there is some gem in there that if you're not dismissive, if you're smart enough to realize, I can sift through this hype and find the gem, you will be a better person for it. Yep. So instead, celebrate the success of others. That's the idea here. Keep your own ego in check constantly. And lead yourself. Force yourself. I force myself to do this. To be happy at the accomplishments of others, not to be jealous of them. You see somebody else is doing better than you? That's awesome. Congratulate them. But don't be jealous. There's no value out of that, right? And look at their underlying research and work to see how you can learn from it. And then here's one of the bullets that I told you that I think is one of the most important here. How you react to the great among us will be one of the single biggest determining factors in your own success in this industry. How do you deal with the great? If you dismiss them, you're not hurting them at all. You're hurting yourself, right? It's true. All right, so you want to be a rock star, huh? Maybe that's where you're. How can I be an InfoSec Rockstar? This is the only one I'll name here. I told you I wouldn't name any of these guys, but this one I called yesterday on the phone while I was driving to the airport. And I said, I want to name you in my presentation. You okay with that? He's like, well, tell me what it's about. It's Atlas. Anybody here know Atlas? Yeah? I don't know. Nobody else knows Atlas? No, not Atlas Shrugged. No. It's Atlas the Hacker. It's spelled @LAS. Atlas, right? Atlas has 3 black badges from DEF CON. He won the CTF solo 1 year. Next year his team, which was called Last Place, came in 1st place. The next year his team came in 1st place again, same team, last place. That's who Atlas is. He's a fantastic hacker. He's a rock star. He's fantastic. I first met Atlas in 2004 when he was taking my SANS class, SANS 504 as a matter of fact. And Atlas came up to me and said, I said, hello, and he said, hello, I'm Atlas. I said, I'm Ed. It's very nice. And I said, can I help you? And Atlas said, I want to be you. I said, what? He said, I want to do what you do. That's what I want to do. I want to do this. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. And I said to him, are you sure? He said, yeah. And I told him, my friend, be careful what you wish for. And then we started talking about this stuff. And yesterday, as I called him, he's actually done presentations on this discussion that he and I had there. Why? Well, he didn't want to just be me. He wanted to be much better than me, which I celebrate. I want him to be. In fact, he's a rock star now. And I talked to him about why are you doing this? Why do you want to be, say, an InfoSec Rockstar going beyond me? Is it your own gratification? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, right? There's InfoSec Rockstars that self-profess they're doing it for them. They're doing it because they get a rush out of it. I don't want to name the names, but they're out there. There's nothing wrong with that. They're pushing on the edges of human knowledge. They're hacking stuff. They're doing cool things. If that's what they want to do, let them hack. Maybe you're doing it to help people. Maybe you're doing it to have some meaningful impact. But if you want to be a rock star, which maybe some of you do, think about why. Why do you want to be a rock star? Next. Have you considered other ways you could achieve your goal? Once you've gotten your reason for doing this to help people, maybe you can help people in other ways than being this InfoSec Rockstar persona, right? And without all the baggage of rock stardom. I saw a tweet yesterday. I just landed here in Austin. I saw a tweet that I retweeted last night, but it said, I don't know who it was by, I'm sorry, I forgot, but it said, increasingly, this person who originally tweeted it, increasingly I realize more and more that human beings are not made for stardom. There's something profoundly wrong that happens in that process of becoming a star that breaks most people and they can't deal with it. That's a lot of baggage, right? So maybe there's ways you can do this without the baggage. If you really do want to go forward with this InfoSec Rockstar stuff, I'm not going to judge it. I'll encourage it. I'll celebrate it. But I do have some tips on how you might want to do this. First of all, you got to realize it's going to need a lot of focus and a lot of energy and a lot of time, and a lot of frustrations. This is just a form of hacking, really. You're hacking technology and you're hacking the public persona of the InfoSec community in certain ways to achieve your InfoSec Rockstar status. And as you know, hacking usually is not like what most people think it's like. Most people think hacking is just like, hey, you sit there and you keyboard and you do this and this and this, and the next thing you know, you're like, just stole 27 million credit cards. Right? That's how hacking works. It's just like that. No, I tell my SANS class this, because we do a class on pen testing. I say hacking is not like that. Hacking is like, you've got a brick wall in front of you, and you start pounding your head against the brick wall. That's when your pen test starts. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday you see a tiny little crack in the wall. Of course your head's all bloody and everything. You start digging at that hole in the wall and it goes nowhere. So you continue to pound your head against the wall, pound your head against the wall. And then out of the corner of your eye, you look over there and you notice that there's a wall, maybe it's got a little brick that's kind of out of alignment. And you go and you just kind of push on that and the whole wall falls down. You're still bloody, but the whole wall, that's what hacking is. It's frustrating, it's hard, and frankly, the InfoSec Rockstar approach, when I've seen my friends try to do it, it's hard. I try to get a picture here of the Beatles looking tired and frustrated. And I think I got that. You see George Harrison on the left-hand side, he's like napping there. I mean, look at Ringo, he looks really good. Often looks sad, but he looks really sad there. And then you got Paul McCartney like so intense over there on the side trying to solve this musical problem. And you got John Lennon just like being John Lennon, right? With Yoko behind. All right, next. So, say you want to be a rock star, where do you go? Pick an area. Pick something there's so much to choose from. Pick something to focus on. And learn as much as you can about it. Internet of Things is so sweet and so fun, and there's so many attack surfaces, and you can get in cheap. Do it. It's so cool, right? Or maybe, look, maybe your gig's something else. You're more into packets. There's a lot of great packet stuff today. Maybe you're more into forensics. Maybe you're into host level security. Maybe you're into PowerShell. Whatever it is, pick something and do a deep dive into it. What is currently known, what is unknown. And don't trust what is currently known as actually being, you know, true. There's a lot of stuff out there that's just incorrect, or it has changed since it was first documented. So you need to test those initial assumptions. You need to start experimenting. That's why I put David Bowie up here, Ziggy Stardust. He's very experimental. I'm not a fan. His music just doesn't appeal to me, but I do have a tremendous respect for that dude and how he was pushing the envelope of musicality. And at the same time, I have a great appreciation for those InfoSec Rockstars who are trying to push on the edges of technology to see where to go. But huge assumptions have been made in the past, and they're often not true. And they change and change and change with the release of new technologies. So test your own assumptions, push things forward. It is exciting, building on the edge of what is known in technology. So do this. If you want to be an InfoSec Rockstar, I'll tell you what. Even if you don't want to be an InfoSec Rockstar, just to be an InfoSec professional, what the Rockstar thing is like, do this. Build a lab at home. Start hacking stuff, right? It's just a better way to live. Somebody sent an email to me after the talk this morning saying, in fact, one of the guys said it in the front row, and then somebody sent me an email saying, dude, you need a hobby. It's like, I just presented for an hour on my hobby. Dude, you need a hobby. Hack something. That's cool. You don't have to be a rock star to do what I say on the slide, right? It's fun. Have a good time with it. Next, play well with others. There are likely other people in the ecosystem that you're investigating now, whether you want to be a rock star or not. Reach out to the already existing rock stars there. Thank them for their work. Dude, thanks for your work. This is really cool. I was reading this blog article that you wrote. Ask short questions. They're likely very pressed for time. Short questions. Hey, I'm actually going to develop on this. You said some things here that I'm curious about. Did you solve these problems? Because if not, I'd like to really start zooming into them. There's a good chance they're going to be really excited and dump a bunch of work on you. It's all right, because you're gonna get the edge of their stuff. Seek advice. Hey, if I'm trying to pick up where you left off, love your stuff. How would you do it? What tools? What techniques? Did you try? What didn't you try? I want to build on. Keep it short though, because these people are often very busy. And don't be discouraged at all if you don't get a response. This happens a lot. Look, I do this myself. I'll be like working on something, I look and see the edges of the technology and where it went, and I'll shoot an email to some of the people who worked on it before, and I never hear back. It's the way it goes. People are busy, right? Okay. Super important. This one, man, is so vital. A mentor. Identify a mentor in your life. I mean, if you want to be a rock star, yes, you need a mentor. Even if you don't want to be a rock star, career advice, find yourself a mentor. Somebody you can look up to. Make it explicit. Say, I want you to mentor me. See what they say. And I say, dude, no, yeah. Atlas did this to me. He said, I never had anybody ask me this, but he said, I want you to mentor me. I'm like, cool. The mentor can provide advice, direction, help, encouragement, admonishment where necessary. Stuff happens, right? Dude, you screwed that up, you know? Support, and then at some point in your career, pass that on and be the mentor for somebody else. Atlas established, you know, after I had this great work with him as my mentee, he established something he called the AMP. I mean, talk about formalization. It's the Atlas Mentor Program. And he did this. He invited people to be part of the AMP. Some of them accepted his invite, some did not. Dude, being mentored by Atlas was fantastic for many of these people's career. So I'm not saying you gotta all go out and establish your own AMP, but the fact is, find a mentor right now. I have some mentors that have meant so much to me in my life. I've learned so much from them, and I'd be nothing without the advice of my mentors. I don't want to name them because it's embarrassing, but you should find yourself a mentor, right? On the technical side, yes, and maybe on the sort of lifestyle side, right? Spiritual side, if you will. All right, so have your own mentees, and then at some point in your life, you'll have grand mentees. Like you have children, you have grandchildren. I remember I was talking to Mike Poor. Mike Poor's a good friend of mine, science instructor, and so we were talking about minions, and how Mike is very happy to have minions. Do you mind?
No.
So there's a gentleman, I don't want to point fingers, but he went up to, I think he went to Mike first, and said, I will be your evil minion. And Mike's like, dude. So Mike comes to me, and he's like, I got an evil minion. Show it off. So then I talked to Robert, and I'm like, you know, could you be my minion too? He's like, sure. So like, you know, I got an evil minion just like mine. So we're at the airport. My daughter at the time was maybe 8 years old, and I had introduced her to Robert as Evil Minion. This is Evil Minion, right? So later on, this is in Orlando, it's the Orlando airport. Later on, we saw him walking around, I don't know, wherever it was.
We were at the vendor thing.
Oh, was it the vendor thing?
Yeah,
and my daughter taps me on the shoulder, and she says, Daddy, it's Mr. Minion. Mr. Minion. It's Evil Minion, so it's Mr. Minion.
Because they're very polite and they only use your last name.
But then exactly. So then I see Robert as his career develops. Robert's got his own minions. So I have grand minions now. How awesome is that? Robert's doing great stuff. Really is. So this is kind of cool. Now, this picture, again, the Beatles earlier. Does anybody, well, obviously you got Paul, then George, then Ringo, and then on the right-hand side, John. Who's that dude that I didn't name? Come on. Phil Spector. No, not Phil Spector. George Martin. He died 3 weeks ago. Yesterday?
Yes.
He died 3 weeks ago.
He was the
He was the one. He was the mentor that mentored all of those guys. And he was a genius. He was their producer. He was their marketer. He was incredible. You know the Beatles today and all of their innovation in music because of that George Martin guy. Most people don't know who he is. And he just died. He was 90 years old. He lived quite a life. There are George Martins out there for you in your career. Find them and embrace them. It's really good. All right, so here's yourself a mentor.
You now have grand.
Oh,
because I'm doing Hack for Kids now, right? So
oh,
we're teaching
that's
kids.
so good.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. Yeah, and to the extent that you can help out, there's so many things. Hack for Kids, there's Hack Kids, Cyber Patriot. I coach a team of Cyber Patriot kids, either high school kids. It's so much fun. CCDC, right? Coaching for that. There's so many opportunities to invest in other people. But look, you yourself need a mentor. Really, you do. Yeah.
Let me throw in cyber.
Oh, yeah, cyber shaman. You'll speak about it in detail later?
No.
Okay, all right. This is something that Ruben, also known as Rockstar, has put together, and it's Ruben Paul, that's Mano's son, showing information security things for other kids. It's pretty cool. Videos, and very, very rich stuff. Now, I should point out on this slide, I am a resident of the state of New Jersey. I am required by law to put a picture of Bruce Springsteen when I talk about so I had to do that. But give back to the community. I recommend you start a blog stuff about just your own research. Why? So Google will find it, and other people can build on your ideas. One of the most heart-crushing things as a security researcher is when you pour your all into a project. I talked to Josh Wright about this a lot. Josh is one of my best friends in the whole world. You give your all on this one technical thing, and you write up this, but there's still areas that you haven't figured out, haven't understood. So you write your all, you put it on the blog article, and then squirrel! And you start focusing on the next project, right? I was talking to some guys this morning about how I can usually focus on a given technology or idea a year, maybe 18 months, and then squirrel! Where is it? Something else, right? And then 6 or 7 years later, you're working on the same thing you worked on 6 or 7 years ago, and you Google, and you find your own blog, and there's nothing else that has been done with it since then. This is soul crushing. It really, this is a big thing. So anyway, so your soul can be crushed. Put your own stuff out there. But then others can pick up what you built on, right? I mean, do this. Publish a blog. Now, a couple points, tips. I have people who write blogs for the Stanley Pen Test blog, and many of them are really good bloggers. And a few have really good ideas, but they don't express them in their blogs in a way that is engaging. Make your subject very clear. Tell people what you're going to tell them. Make it interesting. You gotta make it pop, right? I mean, this is not just SEO, search engine optimization. This is HEO, human engineering, whatever it is, optimization. You need to make people, why would I read this article? Am I willing to invest 12 minutes to read this? If you don't make it pop in the title, the answer's gonna be no, right? So make your subject clear, make it concise, make it meaningful. When presenting, make sure you do your homework. You know, you want to give them what you got, your best stuff. Spend time. You know, write a presentation in an hour or two? No, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 80, 100, 120 hours. Give them your best, right? Sweat the details. But most of all, make your work useful. Tell them what they can do with it. I was sweating a little bit over my talk this morning. because I was worried about that last point. Will this actually be useful to people? Oh, we can make it fun, that's good. But I was really hoping that this would be useful to at least some, so that you say, hey, I want to buy a Raspberry Pi and start hacking light bulbs. And here's how. Here's the stuff that you can get. Just try to start doing that. Make your work useful. I try. Sometimes it can be hard. You will find some little bit of hacking magic, and you want to write it up. And I've been here. I have no idea why this is useful, but here it is. I was on Call Security Weekly a few years ago, and I did a presentation called Crazy Ass Netcat Relays for Fun and Profit. And I did some stuff in there and said, here's this, and here's how it's useful. Here's this, and here's how it's useful. Here's a whole bunch of other stuff. It's weird, it's funky. I have no idea how you can ever possibly use it. And I got an email from Mark Baggett about an hour after doing that Call Security Weekly bit, and he said, hey, here's a couple of use cases for that one that you said you had no use for. Try to keep it useful, but if you can't, still put it out there. Maybe somebody smarter than you, like Mark Baggett, smarter than me, will find a use for it. The long-term perspective. All right, let's really get into this. This gets back to why you're doing what you're doing. Mike Poore and I often debate this one point. Is it better to burn slow and steady, or is it better to burn twice as bright for half as long? You can burn yourself out, especially if you're an InfoSec Rockstar. I say maintain the long-term perspective. That's really important. Don't think in terms of a day or a week or a month or a year or even 5 years. You're in this for the long haul. Your career is going to be a decade, 2 decades. Some of you are saying, no, I'm a little older than you. Mine's not going to be 2 decades. Yes, it is. Yeah, right? Think a decade, a century, a millennium in the future. After 1,000 years, will your work really matter? Now, look, I don't expect anybody in 1,000 years to know who I am. I don't think they're going to be looking at any of my blogs or my presentations or anything like that. But my hope is that I've helped people and that I've had an impact, right? Earthly and otherwise. That's my hope. That's my prayer. All right, so here's the one I went to my wife and said, yeah, can I do this? Because I was like, I want to find the jerkiest rock star I can to illustrate the point of pride and humility. So, obviously, David Lee Roth. So I do a Google search for David Lee Roth, and up comes the cover of Playgirl magazine. Contrary to what you might believe, I am not a subscriber. But there you have it. So I said to my wife, can I put a cover of Playgirl magazine in this talk for HackFormers, a Christian hacking group? And she's like, well, it illustrates your point. Okay, go ahead, do it. All right, so it's very easy to be prideful. Fight against that. And then here's a really important tip for you. You will get stupid questions. Think about the stupid questions, because there's probably some real subtle and interesting idea in there. And if you're smart enough to tease that out, it will make you so much better. Seriously, if you look for the subtlety and nuance in that, and then here's that second, I told you there's 2 bullet points. One was how you treat the great among you will be how successful you are in the industry. This next one, how you react to the least among us will be one of the single biggest determining factors of how you're perceived in the industry. All right, whenever I enter a room, I assume I'm the dumbest person in the room. I think you can all look around and you'll agree that that applies here. And everything works out just fine. Now, you can't be shy, though. Some people, when they assume they're the dumbest person in the room, it's like, I can't talk. I'm a very chatty, dumb person. I ask questions, and you gotta put your ego aside. I want to ask dumb questions, right? Why not? Cool. But if you notice, if you think about this, we're kind of built to idolize rock stars, aren't we, in a certain way? It's like there's a hole, and we want to find a rock star to fill it. All I'm looking for, really, is a father, a mother, a mentor, a leader, an idol, all rolled up into one person. It's easy to pass, right? Yeah, cool. So I did this brainstorming thing with, I had a guy, my iPhone was cracked, and the screen was cracked. So I had a guy, there's this new thing called iCrack. They drive to your house and fix it, and it costs the same amount as it does to go to the mall and get it fixed, and saves you like going to the mall. So this guy comes through, this is on Monday, and I'm finalizing this presentation. So I'm sitting there talking with him and my wife, and I said, how would you define the ultimate rock star? And the iCrack guy, as he put my phone back together, says, well, larger than life, over the top. My wife says stage presence. It's got to be eccentric. That's cool. That's Ted DeMopolis' definition. Confidence, charisma, a rebellious edge. And the iCrack guy says a god, a true god. That's it. That's what a rock star is. So who is the big rock star? Elvis Presley. He's the king. No. I had to put Elvis in here somewhere. That one. That's the one. Jesus Christ Superstar. Why was he the ultimate rock star? What did he do? He did many things, but there's 2 things I'd like to draw your attention to. First, he made a universe. Not too bad. Did he ever make a universe? No? Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. So that's number one, he made a universe. Pretty darn cool. Number two, that. Yep. Greater love, this is what he himself said. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. I have never died for my friends. All the InfoSec Rockstars I know haven't died for their friends. Some have died for other reasons, which is quite sad. But this is pretty huge. Those two things. Now there's many other things that he did, but those two things, made a universe, died for your sins. Dude, that's a rock star. So you need this rock star. Why? Because of sin. We all suck. And one thing that I just cannot understand at all is those people who think that people are fundamentally good. It's like, do you know any actual people? You think they're really good? We've had thousands of years of history to show that people are evil. Right? And there's all kinds of groups. You don't have to go to Hitler to show that people are evil. People are evil. The law, do not commit adultery, do not kill, do not steal, don't bear false witness, honor thy mother and father. We fall short all the time. I fall short ridiculously often. The wages of sin are death. Have you ever wondered why? I did a presentation at HackFormers last year, and I was reading a physics book written by a Christian, and he was talking about why are the wages of sin death. And in physics, they'll often imagine another universe with different properties. And he says, imagine a universe where the wages of sin aren't death. That's cool. That's a good universe, right? So you sin, you're not going to die. You live forever. You know, the initial fall never happened. They just live forever, right? And he says, in such a universe, this hypothetical universe, the evil will continue. There's an inherent check on evil in that the evil people die. So Hitler, no matter how evil he was, eventually was going to die. Now he might be replaced with another Hitler, but we have a chance to interrupt that. In a universe where the wages of sin are not death, the evil people will do more and more and more evil. The good people will suffer forever under them until the good people start doing a little bit of evil, and then more evil and more evil. So a universe where the wages of sin aren't death is hell on earth. It's not paradise. It's really bad. So that's why the wages of sin are death. So in a sense, death is a patch for the problem of the fall. God said, hey, what am I going to do here? Tell you what, why don't we make sure they don't live forever, because that would be a problem on this fallen earth. But he's got a longer-term solution than simply that patch, and that is salvation. Right? The ultimate rock star paid the ultimate price so that you can be eternally saved. And this involves repentance. Repentance, to change one's mind. Some definitions of this. To amend heartily, to have an abhorrence for one's past sins. Here's the Greek, metaneo, the Hebrew, teshuvah, to return or turn around. This is a beautiful and wonderful thing. And look, I'm a hacker, I'm not a preacher, as you can tell. All I ask is that you think about this stuff. Think about InfoSec Rockstars. Have you noticed how much Jesus, as he's depicted, looks like rock stars? It's actually the other way around. They look like he does, and I think there's a reason for that, right? I'll ask is that you think about it. I've been thinking about this whole thing a lot myself. So in conclusions, please treat InfoSec Rockstars with dignity and grace. If you want to develop your career in that direction, I caution you, think about why, think about other ways that you can achieve your goals, and if you really want to do it, keep your focus and provide practical, useful information. I also ask you to please consider the ultimate rockstar. He's an amazing guy. And repentance and the good news are free.
I'm going to let you be on the video because we may take some questions.
Okay, questions?
So just one thing I'm going to add before we go open up the floor for questions is that the talk that Ed was referring to earlier, all of the talks that we do at HackFormers is actually recorded, or with the permission of the speaker, of course. And it's actually published on youtube.com/HackFormers. So we have a channel, so if you want to share this message out, or you want somebody else to also hear about what we do, or go back and look at the past presentations. And
There's some amazing presentations there.
Right. And so Ed talks and others, there are other things, Kevin Johnson, Michael Howard, and a lot of other stuff, Dave Kennedy.
Awesome.
So with that said, we open the floor up for questions. If you have any questions for Ed, and then also if there's any general HackFormers questions, I see a lot of folks over here who probably help you out with that as well. So.
Yes, sir.
A comment I wanted to add in. You talked a little bit about blogging, and what I wanted to add is I found you learn so much yourself.
You do.
Trying to articulate what it is that you want to write down.
Yep.
Trying to write down what it is you research.
Yes. So the gentleman's point is, In writing a blog, you will learn much more than you would if you didn't put your ideas together in a blog. Or in writing a presentation, you will push the edges of your knowledge because of the abject horror of standing up in front of a room of hackers and talking to them about what you've been working on for the last 3 months. And it sharpens you. It really does. Excellent point, thank you.
And if I can add, actually, David is recently starting, David Longanecker is recently starting to blog about stuff, and I find that extremely informative, educational, and amusing.
Yes.
And so take a look at that. It's doing a lot of stuff for me, which I think translates into the IoT space as well.
And his write-up of the 2015 Holiday Hack Challenge is quite interesting and engaging. I recommend you read it. Any other questions or thoughts? Yes, sir.
Do you have any advice for those playing around and kind of starting to talk about their work in blogs and stuff that the media may latch onto and start reaching out? Do you have any advice for engaging the media to kind of tamper down the FUD that they latch onto and blow out of proportion?
Yeah. So the gentleman's question is, do I have any advice for interacting with the media? There are some people in the media that are really, really good, and they really care about getting the story right. Brian Krebs is one of the best in our space about that. That is the exception. There are many people in the media that are looking for a big story so they get a lot of clicks and that kind of stuff. So be careful. What you say by some people will be taken out of context. I have been very fortunate to be doing this for like ever. I told them I've been doing this 20 years. I have certain folks that I know in the media that I know care and are going to write the right things. And I talk to them. I also talk to other ones, and occasionally the story comes out wrong. What you could do is you could reach out to a mentor and say, hey, this person from the media is asking me questions, how can I be careful? Or do you know, if you want to shoot me an email, hey, I'm being interviewed by so-and-so, what do you know about this person? And I'll tell you how to be careful with it. Yep. Any time for more questions? No? 5?
5 minutes, I don't know.
Whatever you guys want, I'm at your disposal. So anyway, reach out to somebody who's been doing this a long time and ask them about the particular media person. Also, just be careful. You be prepared to get stepped on. You will. I've been stepped on many times by the media. It just happens. Yeah.
So we have a question over here. But
Yeah, say you want to be a rock star.
Say you want to be a rock star. Yeah.
You're working for organizations who often want to see your work before you put it out.
That's true.
And that kind of pops your fizz a little bit.
It does.
Do you have a way or a process where you can actually keep that excitement going while you're waiting for them to approve it?
2 possibilities. So the gentleman's point is, say you want to be a rock star, and you work for an organization that has to approve everything that you publish. 2 possibilities, and both of them are used by some of my friends. One is do everything under a pseudonym. Atlas, right there you go. Atlas and his other name are 2 completely different people to me, and they're 2 completely different people, such that there have been conferences where Atlas and the other guy who lives in Atlas's body have both presented at the conference. So you could do that. He keeps them separate for a reason. He does, and I respect that. Oh, he also said to me when I was talking to him on the phone yesterday, he's like, you're not going to use my real name. I said, of course I'm not going to use your real name. I'm talking about Atlas, not the other guy. The second thing is it possible for you to do analysis of stuff that is outside of your work so that you can get kind of, hey, if I talk about Internet of Things, which clearly we're not doing here, is that okay? Or for me to talk about analytic techniques? So the idea there is, maybe your company does digital forensics, so you start blogging about pen testing. Maybe you can get approval on that. So just a couple different approaches that I've seen friends do, and it's, I think, a good approach.
So I took a picture from here, like as Ed was explaining. So somebody, I thought it'd be easier for me to ask forgiveness than permission. So if anybody does not want that to be published or something, let me know, and we'll do some Photoshop magic. So.
And I do hear that we have to clear the room for the next speaker, so let's go ahead and do that. But thank you, guys.